Explain this better than I did. Best one gets pinned.
For years, the Beckham family looked like the definition of perfection. Polished, united, unstoppable. But now, that glossy picture's cracked wide open for everyone to see. And right in the middle of this chaos, Brooklyn Beckham, his wife Nicola Peltz, and her billionaire dad Nelson Peltz, a man insiders claim has never believed Brooklyn was good enough for his daughter. What started as quiet tension behind closed doors has exploded into a full-blown family feud. We're talking about legal threats, explosive public statements, and icy silence between two powerful families. Some say the line between them has been crossed for good, and there's no turning back. But the real question hanging in the air is this: does Brooklyn still think for himself, or is he completely fallen under the Peltz family's influence? Because behind all those polished Instagram photos and emotional posts, there's a serious power game being played. The breaking point came when Brooklyn went online and publicly turned against his parents in a long, emotional post. He called out David and Victoria Beckham, accusing them of controlling every narrative, putting their brand before family, and disrespecting Nicola over and over again. And Brooklyn didn't hold back, not one bit. He wasn't careful with his words, and he definitely didn't leave room for peace talks. He made it clear he's standing by Nicola, no matter what. Fans were stunned, not just by what he said, but by how final it all sounded. No "we'll work it out," no olive branch, just a cold, clean break that nobody saw coming. And people close to the Beckhams say that Brooklyn's explosive post didn't just appear out of thin air. It was the result of something brewing behind the scenes. Just days before he went public, David and Victoria reportedly sent their son a private letter. Not a text, not a PR message, but a real personal letter straight to him. Why? Because all communication had already broken down completely. According to insiders, Brooklyn had apparently gone as far as to issue a cease and desist notice against his own parents, demanding they stop talking about him in public and that all future contact go through lawyers only. That single move shocked the Beckhams to their core. But what really shook them wasn't the legal notice itself, it was who they believed was pulling the strings. Sources close to the family claim David and Victoria were convinced Brooklyn wasn't acting alone, that Nicola and her powerhouse parents were deeply involved in every move. The letter the Beckhams sent was reportedly full of emotion and worry, not anger or blame, but genuine concern from parents desperate to reach their son. It was said to be raw and heartfelt, asking Brooklyn to just give them one small sign that he was okay. But instead of smoothing things over, that message only seemed to make things worse. Within days, Brooklyn went public, launching a full-blown takedown of his family online. He claimed he was finally standing up for himself once and for all. Brooklyn also fired back at the rumors, saying the idea that Nicola controls him is totally wrong, and that his parents had been the ones calling the shots his entire life. Here's where things really split public opinion, because while Brooklyn insists he's finally free, every move he's made since cutting ties seems to pull him even deeper into the Peltz family circle. He lives in their world, hangs out with their friends, and reportedly only speaks to his own parents through third parties now. It's wild. And that's why so many people believe this drama goes way beyond family tension. It's a quiet battle over power. Two dynasties, two egos, one very public fallout. And if there's one moment that everyone keeps bringing up, it's the wedding, specifically that dance. Brooklyn allegedly claimed that his mom hijacked his first dance with Nicola, turning what was supposed to be a sweet, emotional moment into a total embarrassment. He said the incident left him feeling humiliated, while Nicola was so upset she fled the room in tears. Accounts differ, but one thing everyone agrees on: the vibe shifted instantly. The whole celebration reportedly cracked in half from that single moment, turning what should have been pure joy into a deep emotional wound that never really healed. Even people who tried to stay neutral admit that the dance wasn't just about music or timing, it was about emotions, respect, and blurred boundaries. And for Nicola, that moment might have been the final straw. After the wedding, insiders claim she made her stance crystal clear, setting strict emotional and personal limits when it came to the Beckham family, and that changed everything. Brooklyn was reportedly told he couldn't have both his wife and his mother in his life. It had to be one or the other. And in the end, Brooklyn made his choice. He chose Nicola. Since that moment, insiders say things have completely fallen apart. Invitations have been declined, family events ignored, and communication between the Beckhams and Brooklyn has been cut to almost nothing. Those close to the situation claim Nicola has stood firm. She allegedly refuses to attend any event where David or Victoria are present. Now, whether you see that as protecting her peace or as manipulation totally depends on your perspective, but one thing's clear: Brooklyn Beckham is nearly cut off from the family he grew up in. While Nicola continues to shine in the spotlight, there's one powerful figure who almost never speaks publicly, the real force behind it all: her father, Nelson Peltz. Nelson isn't just rich, he's billionaire rich, a corporate titan known for precision, control, and power. And according to multiple reports, he's never been overly impressed with Brooklyn. Sources claim Nelson has quietly brushed off Brooklyn's career attempts, from photography to cooking to influencer branding, seeing them as messy, unfocused, and not serious enough for a man married into the Peltz dynasty. No public put-downs, no direct shade, just a cool, quiet skepticism that says it all. And let's be real, when someone worth billions doesn't believe in you, that hits hard, especially when that person practically controls the entire family ecosystem that Brooklyn now lives inside. And here's the kicker. Before the wedding, a strict prenup was reportedly signed, ensuring that if the marriage ever ended, Brooklyn would have no access to the Peltz fortune. That detail alone has people questioning just how much power Brooklyn really has in this high society saga. The prenup made it crystal clear: if the marriage ever fell apart, Brooklyn would walk away with only what he and Nicola built together. For the Beckhams, that clause wasn't alarming because of money, it was about dependence. If Brooklyn's marriage ever collapsed, after cutting off his parents, he wouldn't just lose his wife, he'd lose his entire safety net. No family, no fallback, no support system at all. And that's what has haunted David and Victoria Beckham ever since. The idea that their son might have handed over control of his entire future to someone else has reportedly left them deeply worried. Insiders close to the couple insist that despite everything, the door is still open. They say David and Victoria would welcome Brooklyn back instantly. No conditions, no public apology, no drama, just open arms and love from parents who never stopped caring. But Brooklyn, he's standing firm. He said he has zero regrets. He believes he finally spoke his truth and did what he needed to do to live freely. No more control, no more pressure, no more pretending. Meanwhile, his siblings have kept their heads down, focusing on their careers and moving forward as the Beckham family machine keeps rolling. Except now there's one empty space in that picture: Brooklyn's. And even though he insists he's finally living life on his own terms, people who knew him long before Nicola, long before fame turned into family politics, are starting to speak out. They're saying this isn't the Brooklyn they used to know, and that maybe, just maybe, freedom came with a price. And what people are saying now, it's not flattering for anyone involved. One of the most surprising voices to speak up about this whole feud didn't come from Hollywood or the tabloids, it came from football. Brooklyn's old youth coach from his QPR days broke his silence, and what he shared left everyone stunned. He didn't take sides, he didn't trash David and Victoria, and he didn't cheer for Brooklyn either. Instead, he painted a haunting picture of a kid growing up under a kind of pressure most of us could never imagine. He described Brooklyn's childhood as anxious, heavy, and full of invisible walls. He remembered how, even at just 14 years old, Brooklyn was always surrounded by bodyguards, never really alone, never just a normal teen kicking a ball around. He said fame and wealth didn't bring peace or joy, they just brought more eyes, more rules, and more distance.
Some of those memories, he admitted, were unsettling, especially coming from someone used to training the kids of other celebrities. The coach didn't call anyone out by name, but his message was loud and clear. Brooklyn didn't grow up like everyone else, and that made him vulnerable. Vulnerable to influence, to pressure, to control, and maybe even to believing that cutting everyone off was the only way to breathe. And here's where things really hit hard, because when you peel back all the emotion and look at the situation coldly, one thing stands out. Nicola didn't step into Brooklyn's world, he stepped into hers. She stayed close to her family, kept her financial independence, and kept her entire support system untouched. Brooklyn, though? He walked away from his roots, lost the structure he grew up in, and tied his emotional future to one powerful household, the Peltz household. And that shift changed everything. That imbalance between Brooklyn and Nicola is exactly what's making people uneasy. Not because Nicola's some villain or because Brooklyn's weak, but because isolation is power. When one person becomes your only emotional anchor, their influence can quietly take over. No shouting, no orders, just subtle control that runs deep.
And while the media's been buzzing with drama, Nelson Peltz, the billionaire patriarch at the center of it all, has stayed completely silent. No statements, no denials, no defense of his son-in-law. And when it comes to someone as sharp and strategic as Nelson, silence isn't just silence, it's a move. Those who know him say he's direct, calculating, and never impressed by fame or image alone. Reports suggest Nelson sees Brooklyn as talented but directionless, a young man still trying to find his place, riding the wave of a famous last name without fully knowing who he is yet. Harsh? Maybe, but in Nelson's world, perception is reality, and insiders claim his skepticism toward Brooklyn has only grown as this feud with the Beckhams has spiraled out of control. Because in elite circles, cutting off your entire family doesn't scream strength, it whispers instability. And then there's Brooklyn's career path, photography, cooking, lifestyle branding, each new venture hyped up but never fully landing. Every shift gets picked apart publicly and reportedly questioned privately by the Peltz clan. Meanwhile, David Beckham built his legacy through years of discipline, grit, and consistent success. Brooklyn's still searching for that rhythm. That contrast hits deep, because when one family runs on legacy, endurance, and loyalty, while the other thrives on control, results, and dominance, sparks are bound to fly. And now the world is watching to see which legacy survives this family standoff and which one burns out first. Insiders claim Nelson Peltz has never been convinced that Brooklyn brings enough to the table, financially, strategically, or even symbolically. To him, the young Beckham might be more name than substance, and that's reportedly created tension behind the scenes. Meanwhile, those close to David and Victoria insist that the dramatic shift in their son didn't just happen one day. It crept in slowly, almost unnoticed at first. They say it started when Brooklyn began letting others make decisions for him, when once private talks suddenly went through lawyers, and when his words started sounding rehearsed. The Beckham's inner circle swears Brooklyn didn't used to talk this way. He didn't see his parents as villains, and he never acted like he was trapped. But as his marriage deepened, his independence seemed to shrink, and the timing, they say, speaks for itself. One of the biggest clues in this family drama, the silence of Brooklyn's siblings. They've stayed close to their parents, posting together, showing public support, and living their own lives without cutting ties. That stark difference has fueled growing speculation that Brooklyn's situation is personal, not a family-wide issue. And it raises one uncomfortable question. If the Beckham household was truly as controlling as Brooklyn claims, why did only one child walk away?
Sure, Brooklyn's been praised online for finally standing up for himself, but behind closed doors, insiders whisper that the cost has been brutal. No more random calls, no cozy family dinners, no emotional safety net. Everything now goes through intermediaries or legal channels. Every word feels monitored, every interaction calculated. And once family ties reach that point, cold, formal, and distant, rebuilding them isn't just hard, it's almost impossible. Most celebrity family dramas follow a predictable pattern: shock, silence, then reconciliation. But this one? It's nothing like that, because this feud isn't just emotional, it's structural. Two powerhouse families, two totally different value systems, and one son caught right in the middle. And the longer it drags on, the more permanent the divide feels. Here's the real question hanging in the air. What happens if Brooklyn ever changes his mind? Walking away feels easy when you believe you're right, but coming back? That takes humility and forgiveness on both sides. David and Victoria are reportedly still open to reconciliation, but not everyone shares that mindset. If Brooklyn wanted to reconnect tomorrow, would Nicola be on board? Would Nelson Peltz even allow it? Or has that invisible line already been crossed for good? Right now, it feels like there are two Beckhams, one family still moving forward together and one standing firmly apart. Brooklyn says he has no regrets. The Beckhams say they'll wait forever. And Nicola, she remains the constant, unshaken, always present, always central. Whether she's fiercely protecting her marriage or quietly steering the story from behind the scenes depends entirely on how you see it. But one thing's undeniable: Brooklyn Beckham's life has completely changed, and from where things stand, there might be no clean way back. If you've been hooked by this saga, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can weigh in on this wild family standoff. And stay tuned, because in the world of celebrity dynasties, the next twist is always closer than you think.